Hello and welcome to the OKPreps Extra Sports Show. I'm Patrick Prince, joined as always by my good friend Barry Lewis. It's Thursday, April 24th. We got a few things to talk about today. Well, Barry, you said you thought it would pass, and it did by an 11 to 3 vote. We now have shot clocks in high school basketball, at least, for the 26-27 season. You thought it would pass. It did. Your thoughts?
Yes, after last year, the shot clock was turned down at the upper levels in a narrow vote. It seemed like there'd been a lot of momentum gaining since then. An overwhelming amount of coaches wanted it. And so it wasn't really a surprise that it passed by a very solid margin. It was interesting, though. Last year, it would have only been for 6A and 5A. Now it's 6A through 3A. So I think that is very significant. And for regular season games on an experimental basis, classes below 3A will have that option if both schools agree. So that will be very interesting. It'll be interesting to see how many in 2A or A or B, like how many schools will mutually agree to that. So that was very interesting. It's going to be a 35-second shot clock. And some people think it's going to be a big change for high school basketball. I don't think it's going to be that big a change at least at the higher levels. As I said last week when we talked about it, there aren't many times when teams, even if they wanted to, can hold the ball if the defense puts pressure on them for 35 seconds. It will I'd say like 2% of the games I saw this past year, 2 or 3% would that have come into effect really. And because there's nothing more annoying or more frustrating as a person, as a fan or someone who's covering the game like myself who wants action and the defense is laying back and just letting the offense hold the ball for 2 minutes. You're saying, well, those are 2 wasted minutes. 2 minutes of total non-action. But again, that was very rare. So I don't know if it's going to be a big a game changer as some people think, but it'll be very interesting. And it'll be some other parts of the rule change are going to be if a 2A team's playing a 3A team, it's the host who gets to decide. So that'll be interesting. Of course, and if both schools agree, then that's then you'll use the shot clock. Um, so when you got those situations where 4A versus 2A or something like that, or at tournaments, I guess is the tournament site will make that decision. The rule change does not take effect, remember, until another season. So it's going to be the 2026-27 season where it will take effect. So this next year, no shot clock. And that's going to remind me of, I heard one of the coaches say yesterday, but it's so true. And it sort of compares to baseball, Major League Baseball right now. That next year, when you have one of those situations where a team's just holding the ball and, and there's no action going for a minute, and they're going to say, this is what, so you're going to hear some fans say, this is why we need the shot clock. Next year, this can't happen. And that reminds me of Major League Baseball, where you see an umpire blow a ball strike call. And after the experiment in spring training on the ball strike reviews, eliminated a lot of those problems on blown ball strike calls um, and how well it worked. And it's probably gonna be a rule adopted next year. Right now, when you see a missed call, a pivotal call that's missed on balls and strikes, you're thinking, gosh, I wish the rule was in effect right now. When you saw how it was implemented this spring in Major League Baseball. So it'll be interesting. So one more year without the shot clock, and then 2026, 27 season, the shot clock is in at least 6A through 3A.
I know there's a lot of reasons for, and you can argue for and against it. As you pointed out last week, you can make a case for either side. Why do you think coaches wanted this? It passed overwhelmingly.
Because most kids want it, and they also see a prevailing sentiment among most coaches is that they want to play by the rules for the most part, that the colleges play by.
Okay.
Colleges have a shot clock, and you to help prepare your kids. Of course, not all kids are going to be playing college basketball, but a lot of them will be, and you want to have them prepared to play with a shot clock. So the only the only really good arguments against it, and those were valid concerns at the lower levels,
Yeah.
were the cost in being able to find shot clock operators. And those are some things that we discussed last week. So it's going to cost between $800 to $1,000 to install for those schools. And then finding operators to do it. It's a harder job than you may think.
Oh, I totally agree with that. And you and I talked about this last week that I think that will be a very stressful job that's going to require a high level of focus from the beginning of the game to the end of the game. That job was no joke.
You even see at the college level where, and again, they can offer a lot more money for the shot clock operator, and the highest level of training possible. You always see, like, it seems like once or twice a game, at least at a lot of schools, where there's a error made by the shot clock operator, and the officials have to stop play and regroup and reset. So
Hmm.
it's a harder job than it looks.
Yeah. Well, Barry, let's talk. We've had a few administrator changes and some coaching changes lately in our area, as you have written about. But let's talk about Scott Norris, a blockbuster hire for Emily Barkley in Union. They're getting a pretty good coach to replace the pretty good coach that just retired in Rudy Garcia. What are your thoughts on that?
A great coach. His record speaks for itself. And in hindsight, it seems like I'm surprised I hadn't really thought of him as a candidate for that job, because it seems like such a perfect fit, because he's got a lot of experience in this area. And so I think that is going to be really helpful. When I heard some other names bandied about, some who had experience in the area and some who had not been in this area before, I'd always thought that was the one thing I had some hesitation about for those out of area coaches. I think it's really helpful to know what Union's all about and to be from this area. And Scott Norris fits the bill in every way. And it's with two state titles in 22 and 23. Just the level of experience he has had at the college level and the local scene at Coweta, longtime coach there. And it's really ironic that Scott Norris's last win for Edmond North was against Union, his 496th career win, in which was Rudy Garcia's last home game for Union. And it's really ironic in a story that we've reissued this week, when the announcement was made, that did a story on them 7 years ago. I did a story at that time. We had five, I mean, had more than five, but we featured five father and son combinations, um, and of coaches coaching their sons, and the challenges and the good things about that, and sometimes some not some good things about that, but the challenges, we'll say, of that situation. And two of the ones that we did were Rudy and Mo Garcia, and we also did the Norrises. So Scott Norris had three sons who played for him at Coweta over a decade. So, and they were just like side by side in that story that we did. So that was really interesting. So I invite people to look that up again. Um, so it's a very interesting story back then, and I really enjoyed doing that.
Yeah, I remember that story. That was fun. It's it's funny. We'll talk about All World. We made an announcement yesterday. Barry, you'll talk about that here in just a second. But it's kind of funny how the high school calendar just kind of flies by. I mean, we're already in May essentially. The spring sports championships are just around the corner. It seems like post football things just kind of fly by. I don't know. You feel that way?
It really can. I mean, we've only got 3 weeks left in the school athletic year, and then we'll be rolling into um, spring football. So yes, it's playoff time. Pretty much it's playoff time, and in some sports already, and in other sports, playoffs are only like about a week away, and the state tournaments will be here, and then Yes. Where did the time go? 3 weeks left in the spring athletic season.
You speaking of which, you got any vacation planned, Barry? You gonna try to get, I know you're a big baseball guy. You gonna try to get to some Cardinal game, Royal games, anything like that?
Well, at some point, when there's a slow point in the action, which may be in July, but for right now, we've got all world teams coming out this week as we wrap up the winter sports. Um, there's not that whole lot of time between the winter sports championships and the spring sports championships, but we're wrapping up our the winter sports this week. We published the honors in wrestling and swimming, and we've got boys and girls basketball coming up as well as the world's all-state boys and girls basketball team. So we invite readers to look for those teams.
Yeah, let's give a shout out not only to you for all the work that is, but also Mike Mogwin and Ben Johnson. They helped with those teams, correct?
Oh yes,
Yeah. So
big help. And Mike with wrestling, Ben with swimming,
yeah,
and Ben does a lot of our all-world teams in fall, winter, and spring. So there's a lot of work involved, and
yeah.
we
So
appreciate their efforts very much.
absolutely. And thank you to all the coaches who submitted forms and alerted us to the players who should be considered for honors. Okay, so this has been kind of percolating for a while, Barry, as you know, but we finally got the chance to announce what All World Awards will look like this summer. We're doing it a little differently this year, and I think it's going to be pretty cool. I know you're excited, Barry. Why don't you just kind of share kind of the plan for All World this year? We had a story in today's paper, so you can read all about it. All about it. Barry, take it from there.
Yes, very excited. It's sort of like a second or third home for me in the summertime, One Oak Field. So, a place I spent a lot of time at already. So, I'm very excited that that will be the venue this year. It'll be on Thursday, June 19th, before the Drillers game that night, regularly scheduled game. So, it'll be held at the ceremony will be held late in the afternoon at specific time to be announced later. And so it's just going to be an exciting new venue. I mean, that's a natural venue to hold
Mhm.
it. We're honoring the best in athletics, and we're holding it at at a sports venue where the large school baseball championships will be held. So it's just such a natural fit, and I'm excited for it.
Yeah, 100%. It's going to be great as always. Okay, we'll leave it there for this week. Thanks for watching. Barry and I'll be back next week.